Welcome back to another episode of Before You Buy, the show where we give you some straight-up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today I'm taking a look at the highly anticipated Fallout London mod for Fallout 4. Ever hear of Enderreel for Skyrim? It's basically that, but for Fallout. It's a massive total conversion that completely overhauls the game with a new setting, new gameplay mechanics, new enemies, new weapons, new everything. It's super ambitious. It's basically another game. I love a good total conversion mod. They're basically the holy grail of video game mods. Many are attempted, few actually ever come out, but when they do, you better believe I'm there. When dedicated fans go in and completely transform a game into something new, that's exciting to me, especially when they're using a setting as rich with possibility as Fallout. The idea of a Fallout game set somewhere other than the continental US is so intriguing because it means that everything is new again. As much as I love these games, the world building does start to feel a little small at times, so having a game where there's none of the established factions like Brotherhood of Steel, it's very exciting. It's like a blank slate for someone to come in and make something that feels Fallout, but without all the stuff we've seen a bunch of times already. On that front, Fallout London delivers in spades. Actually, it delivers in pretty much any conceivable way. This is up there with the most impressive mods I've ever played, period. It's not without some understandable flaws. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a passion project made by fans, and it's completely free. Although, if you like it, you can go to fallout4london.com and donate to them, and I would highly recommend it because this kind of effort deserves some reward, honestly. Everything about it is just so frickin' impressive. One thing I want to make clear is that this is very much a first impressions kind of review. The mod's long. I've really only scratched the surface, so I can't quite say if the quality is consistent all the way through yet. So keep that in mind. And one more thing before starting is there's a little troubleshooting to be done. It is a mod, so getting it installed isn't as easy as simply pressing install. There are a few more steps. The game requires Fallout 4 to be installed, obviously. And if you've got the game on Steam, you have to roll back the update. It sucks. But blame Bethesda on that one. Their next-gen update kind of broke a ton of mods, this one included. If you've got a GOG copy of the game, the process is a lot easier because that version doesn't have the next-gen updates. So all you have to do is install Fallout 4, then find Fallout London on GOG and install that. That's it. It's got its own page and everything. So if you're not the modding type, then the GOG version is the way to go. At the time of writing, Fallout 4 is on sale there too, so there's even more incentive to get it on that platform. GOG knows what they're doing. They know this came out, and they're trying to incentivize new players, I think. Definite smarties over there. It worked too. I bought Fallout 4 on GOG just to see how much easier it is to install that way, and yeah, it is much easier. There's one other issue I do want to address up front. When I started playing the mod, I experienced a whole lot of crashes at first. It happened after the introductory train ride and happened pretty consistently from there. If you're playing the mod and it's crashing, there is a solution. Get the Buff Out 4 mod from Nexus and install that. That completely fixed the crashing problem. If you're not mod savvy, there is a helpful tutorial on Reddit. It is written by Status Jellyfish 213. Just follow their instructions, you'll be fine. I know this is getting into like guide content or whatever, but the crashing is a consistent problem right now, and it's got a very easy solution, so wanted to address it. I'm sure it'll get fixed later, but this is a mod, I have to remind. And, you know, on that token, let's start talking about it rather than how to install it. It changes just about everything. You're obviously on a new landmass. It's London. The devs say it's about the size of Boston and Far Harbor combined, and I believe them because it does feel gigantic. There's new London-flavored factions, some simple ones like hooligans. They're replacements for raiders. But there's others that are more heavily themed, like the mod like Isle of Dogs Syndicate. And I mean like British mod style, not like game mod. Look it up if you don't know. It was a thing. There's the Beef Eaters, who are literally cannibals. There's a naval-themed Jack Tars, and those are just the enemy factions. There are ones you can work with, like the Vagabonds, the World War I soldier like Tommies. There's the wealthy gentry and the revolutionary fifth column. There's guys cosplaying as King Arthur and anarchists called the Pistols. A lot of factions, a lot of characters. Where the original Fallout games go so heavy on Americana, Fallout London does the same thing for England. English culture is everywhere in this mod. Everything has been given a much more English coat of paint that makes everything old feel new again. The Pip-Boy has been replaced with the Attaboy. It's an analog device. Does all the Pip-Boy stuff, but with new animations. It's got new computers. They're replaced with Turing PCs that look like the Amiga. The attention to detail here is just absolutely astounding, and all the new stuff fits in really well. It doesn't stand out like a lot of mods tend to, and that's a good thing. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. It feels like a professionally developed thing. Every single character fully voiced, and rejoice because they've completely reworked the dialogue system here to be more like the older Fallout games. It's pretty much exactly like Fallout New Vegas, and for me, that's a big improvement. We're back to a silent protagonist, but having all these options for dialogue is a lot more satisfying. I can't even imagine how much work it must have been to get all these voice performances in the game. There's a lot of it, and most characters have additional dialogue just for flavor. Not all the voice acting is excellent. Some of it sounds a little amateurish. Not bad, but not great either. At some point, they're going to have to realize that Falcon is a pretty good voice actor. Could easily do a small part in one of these things. Come on, man. Off you go. But for the most part, it's actually quite good. Like, really good. Way better than you'd expect. There's even a few real actors they commissioned to do voices, which is badass. They got a former doctor, as in Doctor Who, to narrate the opening War Never Changes spiel, and it's absolutely perfect. In general, the game feels like they're trying to incorporate the best aspects of Fallout New Vegas into Fallout 4, and man, it works. You got the better shooting combined with a more dialogue-heavy quest-focused game with a ton of factions to work with, all with their own competing objectives. It's good. Right from the start, you're given the option to either work with the Vagabonds, a Peaky Blinders-style game, or the Thames Folk series of quests. So the game's already starting off pretty open-ended with the story. You're going to want to do those quests at the start, though, because the game's pretty unforgiving at first. I played on normal, which is it's a pushover difficulty level in Fallout 4, but in Fallout London, oof, I'm constantly getting killed by anything and everything. For one thing, the game starts you off with two pretty serious negative traits that can only be removed by advancing the main quest line, and for another, this game is just tougher in general. They start you off with basically nothing, getting resources is tough early on, ammo's scarce, everything's expensive, and healing comes at a premium. I mean, at least you can still sleep to restore health, but when you sleep, you also run the risk of running afoul of one of the game's new starting traits, Sleepwalker, which makes you wake up in just random new places. It's a good idea, and I like it, but also, wow. When I say random, I mean random. I mean, it's a great new little wild card perk, you know? Throws in this layer of unpredictability. I really do like it. The actual gameplay is mostly the same. You just have to be more careful. Guns are very lethal, especially shotguns, and you'll be relying on food a lot more than stim packs because these things are extremely expensive and hard to come by. There's no NHS to save you in this version of London. We're talking post-apocalypse, baby. National Health Service ain't funded. Go buy some frickin' food. Really, all resources are pretty stingy at first, which for me makes the game actually a lot more interesting. But if it's too much of a slog, you can always turn the difficulty down and make it a little more in line with the original Fallout 4. One thing that really impressed me is all the new weapons. Just from the little I've played so far, there's a ton of new guns. They look totally unique. They have new reload animations, and they get fancy with close-range weapons, like there's a switchblade that you twirl around your hands while you're idle, which is way above and beyond what you would expect from a mod. There's fully modeled new enemies, not just humans in new clothes. I've only seen a few, like foxes, giant ladybugs, and some kind of crazy lizard creature, but everything I've seen looks great. And again, fits naturally into the game. It doesn't look out of place in the Fallout universe. Like, obviously, they have been creative, but they haven't taken liberties that make it feel not like Fallout at any point, at least at any point I've been to. Another thing I want to praise this mod for is mission design. They really are going for it here with varied and unique objectives, the sort of thing you don't normally see in a Fallout game. There's one part where you're riding a ferry through ruins and you get ambushed. It's like a set-piece moment from a Call of Duty game with explosive barrels and everything. It really surprised me. It's done very well, too. There's cool little moments like that just all over the place. Like this random part where you're crossing the Thames in a tunnel and it suddenly floods. It's not all big moments either. There's computers all over the place, voice recordings, notes, environmental details just everywhere, all without resorting to the skeleton and the bathtub cliche. The environments in this game are also dense as hell. Honestly, if there's one negative thing I could say about that, it's that some of these places are actually too dense. It can be hard to tell where you should be going or where you can pick up items. A lot of locations are overgrown and full of garbage, which makes them look very realistic as ruins, but sometimes actually a little difficult to navigate. I'm not used to this amount of detail, and that's both a compliment and a criticism, I guess, but not a big criticism. It's more of a compliment, I think. I guess that's kind of a common problem with this type of mod, but I'll take an open world game that's obscure and confusing to navigate than one that's just constantly holding my hand the whole time and has a bunch of big empty environments that are easy to, find everything in because they're just noticeable. Like, yeah, you'll probably get lost or struggle to follow a waypoint once in a while in Fallout London, but not a major issue in my opinion. There are companions as well, including a dog named Churchill. There's Fallout 4's settlement system, which I have not gotten the chance to try yet, so I don't really think I can comment on it. But there is also crafting with an English twist. There's a tea crafting station now. Does not get more English than this. I have to give special mention to the world design. I know I've said things about it already, but it's really, really fantastic. I love the more muted, earthy colors of London, the foggy streets, the overgrown yet also dead back alleys. The place just has a unique visual identity that feels right, and it's a lot of fun to explore because it feels so much like a real place rather than a random collection of hotspots. Again, that sometimes makes it difficult or confusing to navigate, but I can't deny how great this mod looks almost all the time. Sure, there's moments where the graphics get a little weird or maybe off, but for the most part, it's actually a visual improvement over Fallout 4. I especially like the new torchlight that actually projects a light forward. They also managed to do something that eluded Bethesda for years, climbing ladders, which, yeah, really, actually, for real. London is a really interesting, moody location that's just a joy to explore. There's all these big monuments you'd expect to see, but also a lot of smaller, less obvious references. I'm sure someone from the city would really get a kick out of a lot of these things. And I also want to really praise the story, which sounds crazy when you're talking about a mod, but it is true. They do a great job making this world feel very different from the official Fallout games, but still part of the same universe. There's nothing that really feels rule-breaky, which is, again, pretty impressive. A lot of the time, mods are made almost specifically to break the rules and say, well, if I was in charge of Fallout, well, it would be like this. But it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about giving us a very, very British wheel that is maybe a little more polished than the previous wheel. Right from the start, we're given a lot to chew on with this enigmatic villain, secret labs, a lot of warring factions. Compared to the regular Fallout games, there's a very English focus on class warfare here, with the gentry ruling over London from their ivory tower while everyone else is outside barely scrapping by. The backstory is even pretty interesting. Unlike the US that seemed mostly to be trucking along before the bombs fell, the UK was practically in total freefall before the Great War. There was apparently a European civil war that causes hyperinflation, meaning that people were using train tickets as currency before the bombs fell. So yeah, things were bad and it only got worse, which is a very English way of looking at things. It sounds like an Ingsoc-like government took over near the end. Books were getting banned. There's a pretty fascinating backstory overall that I'm looking forward to seeing more of, and that's really my feelings in general. I'm really excited to play more of this mod. I think it is fantastic, and it is one of the, if not the, most ambitious among the mods I have ever played. Getting it working if you got the Steam version of Fallout 4 can be a little tricky, but there is stuff to get past that at time of writing, so there's hurdles, but the hurdles are worth it. It's not just an all-new Fallout game, it's free, and it's honestly better than the mainline games in a few ways. It's also worse in a couple ways, but that's easy to overlook because it's a mod, a free fricking mod, which I mentioned this earlier. You can donate to the team via their website, and if you end up playing this one and liking it as much as I do, I really, really recommend you do that because they deserve some major reward for this, and they can't sell it, obviously. So some donations in appreciation of all their hard work are certainly probably welcome on their side. Seriously, I cannot get over how impressive this entire package is. If you have any interest in Fallout games at all, then you at least have to check this out. It's free. Huge advocate for this one. Love it so far. I'm assuming I'm going to love it all the way through just because what I've seen so far is just absurd in its detail. And usually when you start from that, it's not really too hard to keep it rolling. That's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a good time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter, Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.